The Gospel according to Mark chapter 7, verse 1, Mark 7 and 1, Mark the 7th chapter and the first verse. God's law and human traditions. Some Pharisees and some teachers of the law came from Jerusalem and gathered around Jesus. They saw that some of his followers ate food with hands that were not clean, meaning that they didn't wash their hands in a special way. The Pharisees and all the other Jews never eat before washing their hands in this special way. They do this to follow the traditions they have from their great leaders who lived long ago. And when these Jews buy something in the market, they never eat it until they wash it in a special way. They also follow other rules from their people who lived before them. They follow rules like washing of cups, pitchers, and pots. The Pharisees and teachers of the law said to Jesus, "Your followers don't follow the traditions we have from our great leaders who lived long ago. They eat their food with hands that are not clean. Why do they do this?" Jesus answered, "You're all hypocrites. Isaiah was right when he wrote these words from God about you. These people honor me with their words, but I'm not really important to them. Their worship of me is worthless. The things they teach are only human rules. You stopped following God's command, preferring instead the man-made rules you got from others." Then he said, "You show great skills in avoiding the commands of God so that you can follow your own teachings. Moses said, you must respect your father and mother. He also said, whoever says anything bad to their father and mother must be killed. But you teach that people can say to their father and mother, I have something I could use to help you, but I will not use it for you. I'll give it to God." You're telling people that they do not have to do anything for their father and mother. So you're teaching that it's not important to do what God said. You think it's more important to follow those traditions you have, which you pass on to others. And you do many other things like that. Jesus called the people to him again. He said, "Everyone should listen to me and understand what I'm saying. There's nothing people can put in their mouth that will make them wrong. People are made wrong by what comes from inside them." Then Jesus left the people and went into the house. The followers asked Jesus about what he had told the people. He said, "Do you still have trouble understanding? Surely you know that nothing that enters the mouth from the outside can make people unacceptable to God. Food does not go into a person's mind. It goes into the stomach, then it goes out of the body." When Jesus said this, he meant there is no food that is wrong for people to eat. And Jesus said the things that make people wrong are the things that come from the inside. All these bad things begin inside a person, in the mind. Bad thoughts, sexual sin, stealing, murder, adultery, greed, doing bad things to people, lying, doing things that are morally wrong, jealousy, insulting people, proud talking, and foolish living. These evil things come from the inside of a person, and these are the things that make people unacceptable to God. Jesus helps a non-Jewish woman. Jesus went from there to the area around Tyre. He did not want the people in that area to know he was there, so he went into a house, but he couldn't stay hidden. A woman heard that he was there. Her little daughter had an evil spirit inside her. So the woman came to Jesus and bowed down near his feet. She was not a Jew. She was born in Phoenicia, in an area in Syria. She begged Jesus to force the demon out of her daughter. Jesus told the woman, "It's not right to take the children's bread and give it to the dogs. First, let the children eat all they want." She answered, "That is true, Lord, but the dogs under the table can eat the pieces of food that the children don't." Then he told her, "That's a very good answer. You may go. The demon has left your daughter." The woman went home and found her daughter lying on the bed. The demon was gone. Jesus heals a deaf man. Then Jesus left the area around Tyre and went through Sidon. On his way to Lake Galilee, he went through the area of the 10 towns. While he was there, some people brought to him a man who was deaf and could not talk clearly. The people begged Jesus to put his hand on the man to heal him. Jesus led the man, away from the people to be alone with him. He put his fingers in the man's ears. Then he spit on a finger and put it on the man's tongue. Jesus looked up to the sky with a loud voice. He said, "Ephphatha, Ephphatha." This means open. As soon as Jesus did this, the man was able to hear. He was able to use his tongue and he began to speak clearly. Jesus told the people not to tell anyone about this, but the more he told them not to say anything, the more the people told. They were all completely amazed. They said, "Look at what he's done. It's all good." He makes deaf people able to hear and gives a new voice to people who could not talk. Mark chapter 8, verse 1. Jesus feeds more than 4,000. Another time there were many people with Jesus. The people had nothing to eat. So he called his followers to him and said, "I feel sorry for these people. They've been with me for 3 days and now they have nothing to eat. I should not send them home hungry. If they leave without eating, they will faint on the way home. Some of them live a long way from here." Jesus' followers answered, "But we're far away from any towns. We can get enough Where can we get enough bread to feed all these people? Then Jesus asked them, how many loaves of bread do you have? They answered, we have 7 loaves of bread. Jesus told the people to sit on the ground. He took the 7 loaves and gave thanks to God. He broke bread into pieces and gave them to his followers. He told them to give the bread to the people. And they did as he said. The followers also had a few small fish. Jesus gave thanks for the fish and told them to give the fish to the people. They all ate until they were full. Then the followers filled the 7 baskets with the pieces of food that were left. There were about 4,000 men who ate. After they ate, Jesus told them to go home. Then he went in a boat with his followers to the area of Dalmanutha. Some people doubt Jesus' authority. The Pharisees came to Jesus and asked him questions. They wanted to test him, so they asked him to do a miracle as a sign from God. Jesus sighed deeply and said, why do you people ask to see a miracle as a sign? I want you to know that no miracle will be done to prove anything to you. And Jesus left them and went in the boat to the other side of the lake. Jesus' followers misunderstood him. The followers had only 1 loaf of bread with them in the boat. They forgot to bring more bread. Jesus warned them, be careful, guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod. The followers discussed the meaning of this. They said, he said this because we have no bread. Jesus knew that the followers were talking about this. So he asked him, why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not see or understand? Are you not able to understand? Do you have eyes that can't see? Do you have ears that can't hear? Remember what I did before when we did not have enough bread. I divided 5 loaves of bread for 5,000 people. Remember how many baskets you filled with pieces of food that were not eaten? The followers answered, we filled 12 baskets. And when I divided 7 loaves of bread for 4,000 people, how many baskets did you fill with the leftover pieces? They answered, we filled 7 baskets. Then he said to them, you remember these things I did, but you still don't understand? Jesus heals a blind man in Bethsaida. Jesus and his followers came to Bethsaida. Some people brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch the man. So Jesus held the blind man's hand and led him out of the village. Then he spit on the man's eyes. He laid his hands on him and asked, can you see now? The man looked up and said, yes, I see people. They look like trees walking around. Again, Jesus laid hands on the man's eyes and the man opened them wide. His eyes were healed and he was able to see everything clearly. Jesus told him to go home. He said, don't go into the town. Peter says Jesus is the Messiah. Jesus and his followers went to the towns in the area of Caesarea Philippi. When they were traveling, Jesus asked the followers, who do people say I am? They answered, some people say you're John the baptizer. Others say you're Elijah, and others say you're one of the prophets. Excuse me. Then Jesus asked, who do you say I am? Peter answered, you're the Messiah. Jesus told the followers, don't tell anyone who I am. Jesus says he must die. Then Jesus began to teach his followers that the Son of Man must suffer many things. He taught that the Son of Man would not be accepted by the older Jewish leaders, the leading priests, and the teachers of the law. He said that the Son of Man must be killed and then rise from death after 3 days. Jesus told them everything that would happen. He did not keep anything secret. Peter took Jesus away from the other followers to talk to him alone. Peter criticized him for saying these things. But Jesus turned and looked at his followers and he criticized Peter. He said to Peter, get away from me, Satan. You don't care about the same things that God does. You care only about the things that people think are important. Then Jesus called the crowd and his followers to him. He said, any of you who want to be my follower must stop thinking about yourself and what you want. You must be willing to carry the cross that is given to you for following me. Any of you who try to save your life, the life you have will lose it. But you who give up your life for me and for the good news will save it. It is worth nothing for you to have the whole world if you yourself are lost. You can never pay enough to buy back your life. People today are so sinful. They have not been faithful to God. As you live among them, don't be ashamed of me and my teaching. If that happens, I will be ashamed of you when I come to the glory of my Father and of the holy angels. Mark chapter 9, verse 1. Then Jesus said, believe me when I say that some of you people standing here will see God's kingdom come with power before you die. Jesus is seen with Moses and Elijah. 6 days later, Jesus took Peter, James, and John and went up on a high mountain. They were all alone there. While these followers watched him, Jesus was changed. His clothes became shining white, whiter than anyone on earth can make them. Then 2 men were walking with Jesus. They were Elijah and Moses. Peter said to Jesus, teacher, it's good that we're here. We'll put 3 tents up here, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. Peter did not know what to say because he and the other two followers were so afraid. Then the cloud came and covered them. A voice from the cloud said, "This is my son, the one I love. Obey him." The followers looked, but they saw only Jesus there with them alone. There alone with them. As Jesus and the followers were walking back down from the mountain, he gave them these instructions. Don't tell anyone about what you saw on the mountain. Wait until after the Son of Man rises from death, and you can tell people what you saw. So the followers waited to say anything about what they saw, but they discussed among themselves what Jesus meant about rising from death. They asked him, "Why do the teachers of the law say that Elijah must come first?" Jesus answered, "You're right to say that Elijah must come first. Elijah makes all things the way they should be. But why do the scriptures say that the Son of Man will suffer much and that people will think he's worth nothing? I tell you that Elijah has already come, and people did to him all the bad things they wanted to do. The scripture said this would happen to him." Jesus frees a boy from an evil spirit. Then Jesus, Peter, James, and John went to the other followers. They saw many people around them. The teachers of the law were arguing with the followers. When the people saw Jesus, they were surprised and ran to welcome him. Jesus asked, "What are you arguing about with the teachers of the law?" The man answered, "Teacher, I brought my son to you. He's controlled by an evil spirit that keeps him from talking. The spirits attack him and throw him on the ground. He foams at the mouth, grinds his teeth, and becomes very stiff. I asked your followers to force the evil spirit out, but they could not." Jesus answered, "You people today don't believe. How long must I stay with you? How long must I be patient with you? Bring the boy to me." So the followers brought the boy to Jesus. When the evil spirit saw Jesus, it attacked the boy. The boy fell down and rolled on the ground. He was foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has this been happening to him?" The father answered, "Since he was very young. The spirit often throws him into fire or into water to kill him. If you can do anything, please have pity on us and help us." Jesus said to the father, Why did you say if you can? All things are possible for the one who believes." Immediately the father shouted, "I do believe. Help me to believe more." Jesus saw that all the people were running there to see what was happening. So he spoke to the evil spirit. He said, "You evil spirit that makes this boy deaf and stops him from talking, I command you to come out of him and never enter him again." The evil spirit screamed. It caused the boy to fall to the ground again, and then it came out. The boy looked as if he was dead. Many people said, "He's dead." But Jesus took hold of his hand and helped him stand up. Then Jesus went into the house. His followers were along with him there. They said, "Why weren't we able to force that evil spirit out?" Jesus answered, "That kind of spirit can only be forced out with prayer." Jesus talks about his death. Then Jesus and his followers left there and went through Galilee. Jesus did not want the people to know where they were. He wanted to teach the followers alone. He said to them, "The Son of Man will be handed over to the control of other men who will kill him. After 3 days, he will rise from death." But the followers did not understand what he meant, and they were afraid to ask him, "Who is the greatest?" Jesus and his followers went to Capernaum. They went into a house. Jesus said to them, "I heard you arguing on the way here today. What were you arguing about?" But the followers did not answer because the argument on the road was about which of them was the greatest. Jesus sat down and called the 12 apostles to him. He said, "Whoever wants to be the most important must make others more important than themselves. They must serve everyone else." Then Jesus took a small child and stood the child in front of the followers. He held the child in his arms, and said, "Whoever accepts children like these in my name is accepting me, and anyone who accepts me is also accepting the one who sent me. Whoever is not against us is for us." Then John said, "Teacher, we saw a man using your name to force demons out of someone. He's not one of us." So we told him to stop because he does not belong to our group. Jesus said, "Don't stop him. Whoever uses my name to do powerful things will not soon say bad things about me. Whoever's not against us is with us. So I can assure you that anyone who helps you by giving you a drink of water because you belong to the Messiah will definitely get a reward." Jesus warns about causes of sin. If one of these little children believes in me and someone causes that child to sin, it'll be a very bad day for that person. It would be better for them to have a millstone tied around their neck and be drowned in the sea. If your hand makes you sin, cut it off. It's better for you to lose that part of your body and have eternal life than to have two hands and go to hell. There, the fire never stops. If your foot makes you sin, cut it off. It's better for you to lose part of your body and have eternal life than to have 2 feet and be thrown into hell. If your eye makes you sin, take it out. It's better for you to have only one eye and enter to God's kingdom than to have two eyes and be thrown into hell. The worms that eat the people in hell never die. The fire has never stopped. Everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good, but if it loses its salty taste, you can't make it taste good again. So don't lose that good quality of salt you have, and live in peace with each other. Put these words in the comment section. This is the word of the Lord. Hit the follow, like, or subscribe button. Hit all three. And then hit the arrow at the bottom of the screen and share.